Assalamu alaikum, this is Ariff and welcome to Talk with TDI. Today we have a very important guest with us, Mr. Tashfeen Ansari, an individual who plays a very important role in the lives of people as a relationship counselor and a suicide preventionist. He is also a seasoned American neuro-linguistic programmer as well as an author of his very own self-discovery journal, Guftagu with You. Welcome, Tashfeen.
Hi, I'm great. How are you doing?
Good, alhamdulillah. Okay, Tashfeen, if I were to ask you, how would you interpret what mental health is?
So mental health, I guess, would be the latest advancement in our understanding of how the whole, let's say, organism that is humankind works, right? Because we had for the longest time been studying physical health because physical health is very tangible. We can see things. हम देखते हैं कि अगर इस हाथ पे कटा है खून निकल रहा है उससे फिर क्या नुकसान हो सकता है. And if your hand breaks, these are very tangible and you can see these things. So for the longest time, we had ignored, even though we knew about mental health, because you can see old scriptures from Greeks, even from Islamic scholars, about how we talk about nafs, nafsiyat, and all these things, and they're important, okay. But the only issue was that it wasn't tangible; we couldn't see it. But down the line, with our advancements in science, we started to link up the mind. It's a very important organ. It's the most important organ in your whole body. हर चीज़ control करता है. And उसके अंदर chemical imbalance आ जाए, then everything in your mind, everything through that then gets through your body और फिर पूरा आपके एक इंसान को पूरा उस नफ्स से affect होना शुरू होता है. And that is what mental health is. So we can talk about. Usually लोग समझते हैं कि mental health is just related to the mind and the thoughts and सोचें, but there is a very scientific aspect to it as well.
Why do you think people do not easily seek help? Because अक्सर ये होता है कि if we tell someone that we think or we would advise you to seek help if you're going through some mental health problems, the first answer we would get is हम पागल तो नहीं है.
And I think that is within the question ही के अंदर जवाब है because एक society के अंदर एक वो stigma बन चुका है. Stigma क्या होता है? Stigma मतलब कि एक बुरा connotation, एक बुरा उसमें एक अल्फाज जुड़ चुका है कि मतलब अगर आप मेंटल हेल्थ के पास किसी मेंटल हेल्थ काउंसलर के पास जा रहे हैं तो मतलब आप पागल हैं. स्टिग्मा का रूट कॉज होता है लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस, लैक ऑफ एजुकेशन. इंसान ऐसी चीज़ है, जो भी चीज़ हमें कुछ पता नहीं होती हम उससे दूर रहते हैं, उससे हम अनकंफर्टेबल होते हैं. या आप कुछ भी देखना, आप पहले खाना भी खोलना है, आपने कहा जैसे कोई डिश खाई भी नहीं कभी आपने पहले आप उसको 2-3 बार सूंघेंगे, देखेंगे, चखेंगे, टेस्ट करेंगे. बट अगर आप एक चीज़ बार बार खा रहे हैं, उसको आपको पता चल गया आपको एक्सपीरियंस कैसा है, वो आप हैबिट बन जाती है कि आपको अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो जाती है, आप कंफर्टेबल हो जाते हैं उससे. लेकिन क्या कोई हम खाना बचपन से खाते हुए आए हैं, वो हमारी एक कंफर्ट फूड बन जाता है. तो इट्स द सेम थिंग विद एवरीथिंग, एवरी एस्पेक्ट. अब मेंटल हेल्थ का एक तो अवेयरनेस नहीं है, एजुकेशन नहीं है, पीपल आर यूज्ड टू इट. तो और जो हमें बताया गया है, इंसान की बहुत ईजी है कि एक चीज़ को कैटेगरी में रख के बंद कर दें ताकि हमें वो सोचना नहीं पड़े उसके बारे में, तो उस पर काम करना पड़ता है कि actually experience and stuff. So that's why the stigma is there. That's why people don't really go to mental health because society के अंदर एक ऐसे ही वो बचपन से खा दिया गया है कि अगर आप जा रहे किसी काम से बहुत ज़्यादा पागल हैं और ऐसे कोई that's not true at all actually.
Okay, and how far do you think yoga and meditation helps boost mental health?
Yeah, a lot actually, because what yoga and meditation do is at its core and at its peak is कि आपको एक time आपकी life के through एक pause कर देता है. मैं आप इसमें because I'm very holistic in my approach towards mental health, and obviously in practice we don't bring in religion, but like philosophically अगर आप कोई भी चीज़ देखें तो हर religion आपको एक ना एक ritual दिखाता है कि आप दिन में 1 बार 2 बार, हफ्ते में 1 बार या 5 बार take some time off and do some stretching in a way and take some time off and slow down things. अब काम हर चीज़ छोड़ के take some time off, and to the very, let's say, outer religious topic, yoga and meditation is very much the same thing. You're taking some time off from your day, from your busy schedule, and giving yourself some breathing, some exercises, so you can reflect on कि कैसा दिन गुजरे हैं, कैसे साल गुजरे हैं, और उसी moment के अंदर वो काफ़ी सोचें आती हैं which we can then process, and then it gives your mind space to process. And that is at its core without complicating कि yoga meditation में कैसे help करता है.
Okay, so how would you say that a person's attachment style affects the trajectory of their relationship?
It's a very in-depth question, but I'll try to summarize it. See, attachment styles क्या होते हैं? before we like get into this, we need to understand. So attachment styles ये होता है कि बचपन में जब बड़े हो रहे होते हैं, तो जैसे हमें माँ बाप हमें ट्रीट करते हैं, and it doesn't mean कि आपके माँ बाप बहुत बुरे हैं या ऐसे कुछ आपके बहुत, I mean वो भी cases होते हैं, we can't ignore those, but छोटी सी चीज़ है, बच्चे का दिमाग ना इतना बड़ा obviously rational नहीं सोच सकता. तो for example 3 attachment style है जो हमें majorly पता है, उसके और extensions भी हैं, but एक anxious attachment style है, एक avoidant attachment style है, और एक secure होता है. Secure में personally मैं नहीं मानता. I feel like we're all secure at a point. And then when things go haywire, जब ज़्यादा stress आता है ज़िंदगी में, तो फिर हम या anxious या avoid हो जाते हैं. अब क्यों होते हैं? बचपन में for example अगर माँ बाप हमारी ज़िंदगी में नहीं रहते हैं, अगर वो पापा हर वक्त काम पे गया हुआ है, and mom's looking after the house and she's not giving us enough attention, अब बच्चे को एक टेंशन जाती है कि मुझे attention क्यों नहीं मिल रही, मुझे प्यार क्यों नहीं मिल रहा. You start feeling. So to cover that up, वो बंदा कहता है या मुझे किसी की ज़रूरत नहीं है, मैं अकेला ही सही हूँ. Because जब वो बंदा एक्सेप्ट करता है चीज़, तो फिर बच्चा फिर अपनी ज़िंदगी कैरी ऑन कर सकता है. तो वो एक हम अपने आप को चीज़ बता दें कि मैं अकेला ही सही हूँ. अब वो स्लोली स्टेडली आगे आगे जाके ना एक अवॉइडेंट अटैचमेंट बन जाता है कि आप हर रिलेशनशिप के अंदर फिर आप सोचते हो कि आप अकेले ही सही हो. और ये ज़्यादा हमें दिखता है मेल्स के अंदर, बिकॉज मेल्स को इतनी टेंशन नहीं देते बचपन में कि जो खुद अपने आप को उठाओ, रोना नहीं मनाए ये वगैरह, तो वो प्यार और वो नर्चरिंग मेल्स को इतनी नहीं मिलती. लड़कियों का अलग है कि लड़कियों को फिर, and I'm generally speaking, obviously I've had a lot of clients who've been males and anxious and girls who've been avoidant, as you know, but usually anxious इसलिए होता है कि अगर बहुत inconsistent आपको attention एक बात पे बहुत अच्छी सुबह parents are very happy, फिर आप शाम को आए और एकदम से parents का दिन obviously बुरा गुजरा हुआ है काम पे, तो वो गुस्से हुए हैं, लेकिन बच्चे को understand नहीं होता कि क्यों गुस्सा हुआ है मेरे parent. तो वो एक inconsistency है ना, वो बच्चा कहता है यार stability चाहिए मुझे. And that is where the anxiety comes from. अब वो हर relationship में जब बच्चा को कह देता है कि मुझे एक चीज चाहिए, बस मुझे अपने पास चाहिए, अपने पास ही रखनी है. In every relationship, अब वो we see this that partner gets very attached, वो दूसरे partner को space नहीं देता वगैरह वगैरह. It's all because जो बचपन में प्यार हमें कम मिलता है ना, वो हमारे अंदर एक छोटा बच्चा फिर भी रहता है, जो वो जब हमें कोई बंदा मिलता है, let's say when we get married, when we are in a relationship, so we want that out of our partner. And usually क्या होता है, you have an avoidant partner with an anxious partner. एक बंदा जिसको अकेली स्पेस चाहिए होती है, और फिर वो उस बंदे को कहीं ना कहीं ढूंढ देता है जिसको स्पेस देनी नहीं होती, जो हर वक्त साथ साथ रहना होता है. अब इसलिए फिर which is good because in a way कि आप वो बचपन के bonds heal कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर आपको ये चीज़ पता नहीं है तो फिर वो रिलेशनशिप काफ़ी मसले में हो सकता है, because वो अगर आप समझ नहीं आ रहा हो क्या रहा है. So that's why relationships.
So how would we say that how can one actually determine their own attachment style?
So like I just gave a brief summary, obviously कि अगर आपको obviously बचपन की चीजें हम काफी repress भी कर देते हैं, हमें दिमाग में याद भी नहीं रहती obviously. So that's but there are specific patterns, specific traits which you can Google online. There's a book by, I'm not sure, but it's called Attached. Something Naveen. I don't want to say the wrong name, but Naveen नाम के एक author है. He's written a book called Attached. I think Amir Naveen tha, if I'm not mistaken. But you can look that up. That book gets you in every detail. It will tell you exactly what your attachment style is. It has a whole section of filling things in, and you will get to know. Or you can just Google it. It's not.
Okay, how can one actually determine between a toxic and a healthy relationship? Because there are times when we see that people think that they're in a healthy relationship, which over a period of time it turns out to be toxic. So, if I were to say at an early stage, how can one determine that?
Early stage is बहुत hard होता है because again we go into the biochemistry of it all. So जब आप पहले भी किसी बंदे से मिलते हैं तो आपका दिमाग डोपामिन बहुत रिलीज कराता है. डोपामिन वो केमिकल है जो दिमाग में रिलीज होता है जब आप बहुत हैप्पी हैप्पीनेस होता है, सही है. तो जब पहले बंदे से मिलते हैं तो फिर वो एक बहुत ज़्यादा सर्ज डोपामिन आया होता है, and everything looks perfect, everything कुछ मतलब कोई गलती नहीं है दूसरे बंदे में ना. And that's what we also call the honeymoon phase. 6 महीने तक आपकी बॉडी में यूज टू नहीं रहती. उसके बाद फिर you start seeing some problems come out. Obviously, you grow as a couple and all those things.
So, what are the red flags then?
Red flags, I feel like एक ही red flag है because people are very different, and everybody in this age, and with my experience of now 4 साल होने को आने almost with clients and relationships, everybody has some kind of trauma and some kind of something that's happened to them. बचपन में सही है. वो ऐसा नहीं कि कोई बंदा बचपन बिल्कुल साफ सुथरा गुजरा हो. ऐसा कोई बंदा है मेरे एक्सपीरियंस में कुछ ना कुछ तो चोट लगी हुई है. The only thing you want to look for is somebody who is willing to adapt and change. कि आपके साथ वो बंदा आपकी बात सुने, सही है ना, और आपके साथ ग्रो करे, आपको कॉम्प्रोमाइज करे, सही है, that's a green flag. अगर बंदा कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं करता, बस अपने आप के अंदर ही बस अड़ा रहता है कि आई डोंट वांट टू मूव, मैं यही है तो यही है, मैं बस that's it. Definites like black or white, definites हो गया, and lying obviously, like not being there too much obviously. So these little things, but the most important thing, like I said, is if he or she cannot adapt and if he or she cannot compromise, that's the only red flag you have to look out for. Because banda kitna bhi bura ho na, if they're willing to change, if they're willing to adapt, anybody can be helped out.
Okay, when we talk about emotions, right? So over the years, like you earlier mentioned, that men, especially boys, from childhood are taught that we do not feel pain, right? But even in today's world, there are men out there are boys out there who are sexually and emotionally abused, but they can never come up and openly talk about it. Why is that so?
Again, it's a shame. It हमारा not just in Pakistan, I think ये पूरी दुनिया में मसला है कि हम हर वक्त victim को गंदी नजर से देखते हैं कि तुम like आपने like your body or your mind or whatever it is, there's something wrong with you, but that's not the case, because it's not like, अगर for example, simple example, अगर कोई चोर बैंक में डाका मारता है, say if a robber goes in like robs a bank, we're not going to blame the bank saying the bank ही खराब है. Obviously we're going to be like, okay, डाकू ने चोरी की है, अब उसके it's on them. Same thing with any kind of abuse, for females and for males, by the way. अब लेकिन ये है कि for females there's been a lot of like advancements, with the rights of feminism and everything, which is very good. It needed to happen because उनके साथ like it was the amount of abuse that happens with females is way more than that happens with males. But that again doesn't mean that males don't go through this at the same time. But because of this, because of like the way society treats males and the way men are told to like just keep their emotions within themselves, and there's more shame. Because how do you as a man get abused? And so वो एक अंदर ही वो बंदा बता भी नहीं सकता. It's hard for the person to accept themselves as well कि ये मेरे साथ हुआ है, because it's दूसरों को बताने की बहुत लंबी कहानी है. But even to accept yourself that I was so weak that I got abused is another whole.
Is it also because that they are afraid of being judged? Maybe?
Of course, that's the biggest thing. हमारे में एक ही चीज का डर है, of being judged. लोग क्या कहेंगे, and that's the biggest thing that every society has to face. What will people gonna say?
Okay, so if I were to say, how would you handle if you were in a toxic relationship? What would you do?
Okay, look, when you're in a toxic relationship, मसला पता है क्या होता है with toxic relationships? They're very cyclical. मतलब कि एक वो cycle है आपके साथ. The first thing to do is you obviously try to talk to the person and tell them, listen, I would like some space. In my experience, that doesn't work out. The space is not given. Or you get maybe an hour, 2 hours and repeat with that, and then the next step you can do is perhaps talk to them again. And the third thing is you need to distance yourself off that person, and by distance I mean like talk to them, tell them this is going to happen, don't just go without cause unless there is a very toxic relationship where you have no choice, but distance yourself and cut off for a good month or two to figure out, because एक cycle में फंसते रहते हैं ना, तो क्या होता है कि even if you let's say go off for a week, वो cycle ऐसे नहीं, एक month की cycle है, तो अगर आप एक महीने में even if you do 3 weeks and then you go back in, right, आप वो cycle में वापस पहुंच जाओगे. So you have to completely detox, because हमारा दिमाग एक वायलिन की तरह चलता है. सही है. So like अगर मैं किसी आज बंदे से मिलता हूँ, तो एक relationship build होगा, वो एक मेरा neuron fire करेगा, उस बंदे का neuron fire करेगा, and whenever I meet them it's going to be the same thing. Whenever I talk to them with that same neuron fire, so our mind automatically हमें एक positive में डाल देता है. So for us to rewire our mind, for us to like actually cut off and make new connections, we have to completely detach. And it's very hard to do because toxic relationships ऐसे होते हैं कि आपको when you leave them, you don't know who you are anymore, because वो आपकी पूरी जिंदगी में कब्जा कर चुके हैं.
But there are instances where the victim actually starts blaming themselves.
Yes.
Probably there was some problem in me,
yes,
or probably it was because of me that this happened.
Yes.
So how can we change that mindset?
I think the main thing is support, because obviously it's the same thing. What you said is exactly what we were talking about in attachment styles, right? With avoidant people, the reason the child gets avoidant is because they say मैं तो अकेला ही अच्छा हूँ, मुझे तो ये चाहिए. I want the loneliness. When that's not the case, when the 3 or 2 1-year-old child wants the love from the parents, but वो कहते हैं कि यार नहीं, like I'm okay, मुझे होने अकेला है. Same thing with victims in toxic relationships. The victim will say, no, I like this. I want this. And that is true. They do want this and they do like it, but they need some kind of support, family, friends, intimate relationships to show them, no, this isn't the case. Like there's another whole world out there. You deserve better. And be patient and consistency. This person can't do it all by themselves because they're already in that cycle.
So how important is it to seek help when you know that you need it? But then again, you have a fear that who can I reach out to?
Look, I mean, every counselor has, there's a reason, by the way, us as counselors and therapists and psychologists have an ethical code we follow, which is the main code is confidentiality. Okay, when you come to us, same thing with doctors as well, by the way, we're not allowed to disclose if you came to us unless you yourself tell us, and under no circumstance, unless you're harmed, like a very severe kind of threat to yourself or somebody else, we're not allowed to disclose it, like information at all. So even if you were going to a therapist, nobody would know. The therapist wouldn't tell anybody what you're talking about, and that's one kind of thing people don't really know. And obviously, trust factor aata hai, but you should go to a counselor.
But how does one prepare themselves, an individual, if they have to prepare themselves that yes, I do need to seek help? Because you see, there are times when we know we need help, but we're not ready to seek help.
We're not ready to seek help. The main reason for that also is that, for example, if you live 24, 25 years being one kind of person with one kind of trauma, and हम इसको ना comfort zone कहते हैं. मतलब आप एक ही चीज के अंदर पहले कितनी बुरी हो आपके लिए ना, हम उस चीज को because वही back to the top same thing कि हमारी familiar है वो, हम उस चीज को जानते हैं. हमें ये भी पता है उस चीज के अगर हम ये करेंगे, ऐसे for example अगर ये cactus होता है, if I was to touch this plant here, I know for example ये मुझे prick करेगा, मेरा खून निकलेगा. अब मैं 25 साल से यही prick कर रहा हूँ, मेरा option यही है. अब आपको you keep a different plant in front of me, I will say यार cactus ही सही है, मुझे at least पता है क्या हो रहा है.
You're familiar.
I'm familiar with it, right? So it's the same thing. So to tell yourself you're in that cycle. Your question was how do you get yourself to accept that you need help, right? It's to finally, again, you need other people, you need outside perspective to come in and tell you to listen, give this a try. Do something like that. That's one of the ways. And also sit down and talk with yourself and say, okay, what's the worst that happens? You go for one session, it's 45 minutes, an hour. You can take that much time out once in your life and see how it goes. And my experience is always the first session when you actually sit down and you start talking, you do realize the difference it makes.
But you see, I would say that social media plays a very important role in the lives of people, right? So there are a lot of groups nowadays where you can anonymously post about yourself or put up your stories.
Yes.
So I have seen a lot of anonymous posts that where I've seen people going through physical abuse, mental abuse, but they're just scared to seek help. They're afraid that if I seek help, my family might get to know. Knowing the fact that, like you mentioned, that it's very confidential when you reach out to a therapist or something, but still people are not ready to seek help.
No,
so how do we convince them? Because there have been times when I have also tried convincing people to seek help, but वो कहते हैं कि नहीं, हमें नहीं चाहिए.
I think that there needs to be some kind of a role that our social media and our government and the larger bodies have to play. Because ये एक generational thing है, बचपन से हम हर सर के दर की 2 पैनल खुद ले लेते हैं without thinking twice. Because it's just been that way. We've been taught ये करना है तो ये करना है. हम humans इतने complicated नहीं है, सब बनाते हैं अपने आप को. हम एक wiring के तौर पे machine की तरह चलते हैं. जो चीज़ सिखाई भी होती है हम वही करते हैं और दूसरी चीज़ को हम दूर रखते हैं. तो अगर बचपन से आप सिखाओ एक बच्चे को कि यार ये करो वो करो, and this is the way when you're not feeling well and you're not, you feel like you're having a bad day or you've been crying for too long, go to the therapist. अब बचपन से आप बंदे को सिखाते रहोगे तो by default वो जब भी होगा वो automatic response होगा दिमाग का कि इससे हमें भी चोट लगती है, हम डॉक्टर से जाते हैं. Same thing. So individually it's very hard because वो एक बंदे की identity बन जाती है. It's an identity के it's this whole code of machines that says okay, I've been crying for 7 weeks, do nothing about it. Just watch a movie, go out, do this, do X, Y, Z, and that's it. But वो code ही गलत लिखा हुआ है. उस code के लिए ज़्यादा time लगता है. Different people, new people need to come in, new connections need to be made. And one unfortunate thing sometimes I've learned in my own practice is you cannot help somebody who does not want to help themselves, which is very hard. Even with me, I've had clients who put up a lot of resistance, and for me, what we do is we sort of like either challenge them or we let them go for a bit and let them come back to us when they're actually ready, because they have to see both sides of the perspective. Agar they kha nahi sakte kisi bande ko. So yes, you can't help everybody, but if there were to be help, this has to be a very big societal change that has to come about.
Okay, so when we were doing our research on you, we came across something as ADHL. What is exactly that?
ADHL is the American Board of Hypnotists. There's also the ABNLP, which is the American Board of NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So I am also a master NLP practitioner and also a hypnotherapist at the same time, both from like the American boards.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tashfeen, for taking out time and answering
worries.
these questions. And it has been a really helpful session. And I just hope more and more people who know that they need help, they reach out to you.
Same.
If you want, you can tell them about your handles and your contact details or your email where they can easily reach out.
Yeah, sure. So it's just Tashfeen Ansari. I don't know. Maybe they can add captions. It's kind of a difficult name, but you can just Instagram, Twitter, or email at Tashfeen Ansari. You'll find. Just go on my Instagram. You'll find everything over there for sure. And I hope you guys reach out. If not to me, to somebody else though, because it's always good to reach out. And एक आखिरी मैसेज है कि इंसान अगर अकेला होने की दुनिया में आता तो हम अकेले ही होते हैं. हम we're all here together for a reason कि हम एक साथ coexist करना है और एक दूसरे की मदद करनी है. And अगर लोग हैं मदद करने के तो reach out to them and know that you're not alone. That's it.